It is estimated most human beings only use 10% of their brain's capacity. Imagine if we could access 100%. Interesting things begin to happen. Yes?
Professor Norman, my name's Lucy. I just read all your research on the human brain. It's a little rudimentary, but you're on the right track.
Thank you.
Partner, guess what? I got some fan mail from someone asking a really important question.
Dear Mr. Reuter, I have it from a well-respected source that humans only use 10% of their brains. Is this true? And if not, how much do we actually use?
Now, I can't really blame Lucy for trusting Morgan Freeman, but spoiler alert, this statement is false. And it's not just the basis of badly written action flicks. It has somehow burrowed its way into our collective imagination, like a tick. And according to one survey, even 50% of education professionals believe that it is true. So how much do we actually use? And why is that so important? Well, why don't we take a guess? Commit to an answer, and you can update your beliefs as I give you 3 really good arguments that you can arm yourself with to politely and respectfully correct the next person who advocates for the 10% brain myth. Human brains are relatively large, and they're really, really expensive to maintain because you can't just park them in the garage when you're not using them. We have to maintain a baseline level of activity 24/7 so that our networks don't fall into disrepair and so that we can have brain power on demand. And this means we have to pump charged particles across the membranes of billions and billions of cells with trillions and trillions of connections between them. This is probably why the brain is such a power hog, using 20% of our body's total energy requirements. Now, if we only needed 10% of that vast network to create tools and language and art and build civilization, it seems very unlikely that those large brains would have survived unpunished by the cold fist of natural selection. Mother Nature would have sprinkled some of her voodoo magic on our heads, shrinking them, and we'd all be living in a society full of tiny-headed hominids, like the Goombas in the Mario Brothers movie. Our ancestors all ran the gauntlet of life, and they survived. And we inherited the organs that made that possible. The human brain is the only organ totally encased in skull. And yet, football players and construction workers and miners and motorcycle riders all agree to wear helmets. Why? Right? If 90% of the brain is functionally useless or redundant, then we would expect that most brain injuries would be no big deal, and we'd all be rather nonchalant about the prospect of wearing them. Instead, we take injuries deadly serious. Now, you might think that that's because the brain is fragile. It's like a power crystal. If you hit it in the right spot, the whole thing shatters. But the brain is a network, and networks are resilient. In fact, you can retrain different parts of your brain sometimes to take up lost functionality of damaged parts. But after studying brain damaged patients for centuries, we have learned that there is absolutely no part of the brain that you can damage and not see some sort of functional disability, some small behavioral change as a result, which is probably why we all wear helmets. Many people think the brain is like space, a place so vast and mysterious that really, at any moment, you could discover new planets or lost alien civilizations or square-shaped stars or even schools of cosmic squid. And for most of human history, that was the case. But over the last 30 years, with the advent of neuroimaging technologies like fMRI and PET scans, we have the tools to make a high-resolution map. And there is no room in that map for some cave of wonders that we could descend down into and uncover some lost treasure or artifact that unlocks some vast cosmic power. I think we take our brains for granted, because when you consider all that is required to do even the most mundane things like searching for water when you're thirsty, a majority of our brain is activated.
Our motor cortex has to control our muscles, right?
Our cerebellum has to keep us balanced. Our occipital lobe has to process complex visual fields. Our hippocampus has to help us compare that information to previous memories.
And send all of that to our prefrontal cortex, which has to keep in mind all of these different sub-goals and decide between alternate routes to success.
We have become so good at doing so many things, we forget how miraculous they are. Our brain isn't here so that we can invent some world-changing device. It's here to help us survive. And when you see the brain in action in these scanners, what you find is that absolutely all of it is activated over the course of even a single day. Now, why is this information so important to know and share? According to the internet, the 10% brain myth may have its roots in a misreading of legendary psychologist William James, who said the following:
Most of us feel as if we lived habitually, with a sort of cloud weighing on us. Below our highest notch of clearness in discernment, sureness in reasoning, or firmness in deciding. Compared with what we ought to be, we are only half awake. Our fires are damped, our drafts are checked. We are making use of only a small part of our possible mental and physical resources.
Do we embrace the 10% myth because it justifies this feeling that all of us have of not living up to our potential in a way that is non-judgmental, while simultaneously giving us hope that there might be a quick fix in our future? That is a candy-coated pill, easy to swallow, and therein lies the danger.
Swallow it.
Because it makes us vulnerable to people that will profit off of our ignorance by selling us all manner of pseudoscientific pills and potions and brain hacks and self-help seminars, making all these outlandish claims about boosting our memory, performance, focus, and attention. Now, I'm not saying it's all BS, but the size of the effects is going to be rather insignificant compared to what we can achieve when we really change our beliefs and amend our bad habits for the better. We already have amazing brains, partner. The question that we need focus on is not how much do we use, but how well we use it. So if you believe in arming yourself with knowledge, click that like, subscribe button, and hit the bell for notifications. And I'll see you next time on The Joy of Thinking.
Excuse me, sir,
Yes.
but what would happen if somebody unlocked 100% of the cerebral capacity?
100%?
Yes?
I have no idea.